Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Modern Work Mondays. I'm Nolan Wheeler with Sync, and with always, we have
Jeff Strasser with Microsoft. Good to see you, Nolan.
good. How are you, buddy? How are we doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Excellent. So we left off last week. We were talking about novel data, and then we talked about I'm writing my little note at the end of the shift on the closing shift. So my morning manager comes in and knows what the heck went going on, up and down, sideways, left and right. And we talked about like reporting of issues. We talked about the bias that I obviously put into my notes and everybody puts into all their notes. Let's talk about AI and let's talk about leveraging the conversations that are happening in stores. So we covered that last week of paging, phone calls, radio transmissions, PTT, whatever the technologies they're using, and then leveraging that for reporting of issues. So we'll talk about maybe we'll talk about the urgency and like the automated fashion of this, but also getting rid of that bias.
Yep. Yeah. I think the benefit of now having more data, right? We have data on how stores performing, things of that nature. Now we're able to start getting data from what's actually happening in the stores in the form of the communications, the tasks that are being completed, which tasks aren't being completed, and so on. Certainly as store leaders, regional leadership, as you kind of move up the organizational hierarchy, right? Everybody is always looking at the data, and hopefully that's in a near real time and consistent way. And what we've seen with a lot of our clients who have hundreds, if not typically thousands of stores, is the amount of time it took and often the inconsistency of building those reports and that data. It was super varied, right? And that is something that all retail and even beyond beyond a large grocery chain with large stores, tons of products, but even in fashion department stores, there's always this kind of Monday morning stand up of what was performance last week. It usually took hours of time to pull that data together, more hours of time to discuss and review, and then probably another day to go figure out what we're going to do about it. And the faster we can bring those insights and data to the leaders, to the people making decisions on what we need to do next, the faster you can respond and the faster you can change course and influence the outcome of the next week.
Yeah, I draw the parallel to like crime statistics, right? So much crime goes unreported, and you take a look at a crime statistic, and then you have to extrapolate what the reality is. And it's the same thing here, right? Like this is where we get really excited, whereby, again, leveraging AI, someone says something over a paging system or over a radio or a PTT conversation. If there's a certain sensitivity within that conversation, we can auto-report that scenario. Or, some really smart people out there are actually taking these streams right into their GSOC, right? So their global security operations center. So the ability to then take all of those things that would have in the past taken me of, okay, this event happened, I need to go do that in the portal, I get busy, it's the end of the night, I don't want anything to do with the portal, I'm not going to report it. This automation of reporting of whether it's health and safety or loss prevention, like those types of scenarios, but customer experiences and HR challenges and breaks and shifts and people not showing up, like there's a really powerful automation there when it comes to AI and voice, and something novel that we haven't been able to do in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, right. A lot of times people won't report those things because of the effort required. They don't want the visibility to it, but it's super important to know. So as they impact performance, safety, things like that, you of course want those responded to in real time if there's a physical altercation, incident, accident, and so on. But also just bringing that information together with how the store is operating and the performance kind of in these typical kind of these daily, weekly kind of stand-up meetings. Like you want to know if the store is having more issues and incidents. How is that impacting how the employee safety and wellness, which probably is going to ultimately impact turnover. It's, one store having so many accidents and spills and other issues that people don't want to work there, or customers aren't feeling safe. I mean, there's all sorts of things that don't get captured that are, when you correlate these things with the results, can provide really, really interesting insights, and probably varies by market, by store, by leader, by the staff. And so, the key in kind of building the right data model and having the right data, of which voice is an important part of that, is you can look at all these things and reason over them all together and really extract some insights that otherwise you wouldn't have access to.
Awesome. Well, we'll close out there. I mean, I think we covered last week. It's 1,000 transmissions, tier one retail, paging, PTT, radios, etc. There's 1,000 of those transmissions happening in your store every single day at every single site. You've got all the good stuff in the back end to say, hey, here's the model, here's the container, here's the cloud support to do that. This is kind of turning into kind of like a no-brainer. Like, I don't know anybody who doesn't record their call center traffic anymore. This is probably the new call center. This is a must. And if you're not doing this, this is a gap.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
All right, pal. We'll see you next week.
Great stuff.
Thanks,
Take
bye.
care.